Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Inspiring Educators. I'm having a fanboy moment right now, and I have Mrs. Manika Sharma. Anybody who knows Shri Ram Schools knows her. She's been one of the founding members, teacher first, then principal, and now she's directing that entire group in moving towards achieving greater heights. I'll stop myself here. I'll first request her to introduce herself as well, and then we go ahead towards the journey of getting to know her more. Manika, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Namaste, and thank you so much to all the viewers and the listeners, and thank you, Rishabh. Well, yes, my name is Manika, and I've been in this space for 35 years. I've been with the school now for 35 years, and I've enjoyed my journey as a teacher, and that's the best way to start for any educator, because you roll up your sleeves and you're in the classroom, so you know exactly what goes into making a good educator, and moved into being a principal and then director since the last 10 years. Thank you so much. I come with a passion for what I do, and we'll talk about it in a bit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that introduction. So where I usually love to start from is, how did it all start? How did you decide to get into education? Why did you become a teacher? So what were those initial days like?
So I think I was all of 21 years old, and my father's from the armed forces. He's a retired brigadier. And I always wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a civil servant maybe, but then I thought teaching was the next best choice for me. And I joined a course, a 2-year Montessori course, because I loved children. And that was my starting point in the year 1980. And that's way back, yes, a very long time back. Within a year of the course, I got a job with the Army Public School, and I joined the Army Public in the year 1981, taught the elementary school children, left within a year because I got married, and between 82 and 89 is when I joined the Shri Ram School. I equipped myself with a master's in education, a B.Ed, and everything that it took. And then I got back to teaching, got back to the Shri Ram School in that year. I think it was exciting for me because when you're passionate about something and then you find a school like the Shri Ram School, which was new, which was experiential. I won't say experimental. I'd rather use the word experiential. Way before its times, which believed in children. So the school was started by the late Mrs. Manju Bharatram, who believed that every child must have a smile on his or her face and a spring in their step. Why a child? Every teacher must have that. And that's what I saw in this beautiful 5 huts, is how it started, in Vasant Vihar, in New Delhi, in India. And it was pristine, it was pure. It had some of the best teachers because recruitment was tough. We took in the best. And that's how my journey started, and I haven't looked back. It's been absolutely fabulous.
And you know, I've heard this so many times that initial batch of teachers of the Shri Ram Schools, you know, everybody who's worked with Mrs. Bharatram, the late Mrs. Bharatram, they've all found their love for education because of what they were able to experience in the initial days of the Shri Ram School. And, you know, the same coming from you, kind of, you know.
Yeah. So, you know, Rishabh, I think I have to share that. Why did that happen? I think the kind of freedom. So we allowed people to be. Yeah. We took on people. So, I mean, let me go back to how did I chance upon the Shri Ram School? You know, it was an advertisement I saw in the magazine India Today. It was a 1-page ad that said that if you love children, if you're passionate about what you want to do, you dare to dream, come meet us. That's all that the ad said. And there was a landline phone number on that. There were no mobiles then. There was no tech, right? So, and that's how I walked into this school. And then the 5 other people who joined with me, I realized we were very similar. We didn't come with the degrees. We were honest. We knew why we wanted to be in this space. You asked me that question as we started this interaction, that why did you want to be a teacher? We were very clear, all of us, and we loved children. And the one thing I think now when I look back that stood out was the kindness quotient that each one of us carried.
Beautiful.
The humility, the kindness quotient, eager to do, that high need for achievement. We would be allowed to debate, discuss, ideate. Dissent was something that we believed in and we would do what is best for our children. Right. So I think that love in the first batch of teachers that stayed, and many of us are still here. So there must be something about the school and the culture that the Bharatram family come with, that there must be something about the culture and the freedom. You get that you feel responsible, but you also feel very accountable.
Right.
And I think that's held us in very good stead.
Wow. And I'm going to pick up the word culture from there. That's something that I've been studying, that I've been talking about, that we try to embody it in everybody, every team member here at Suraasa as well. But that word culture kind of is very unique to every organization, right? I've seen schools with a common wall between them and absolutely different experiences in both the schools. So as a leader, if you had to tell a new school or teachers, define the word culture for them, what would the top things that would come out, and how would you explain that?
So, I would say keep your moral compass very strong. All right. Schools have to be high on integrity, and it's just not saying it. The students, the staff, the didis, the bhaiyas, the security guards, the parents, the stakeholders, the alumni of the school, everybody has to feel it, that yes, when this school speaks of integrity, or any school speaks of integrity, we have experienced it.
Got it.
All right. I think value-driven schools. All right. So what are the values that we look for? What are the attributes that we look for when we hire people? People who are, you need to have a home life, homeschool balance, but you also need not be clock watchers. All right. Whatever task that comes your way. And, I've always believed that students are live wires. They may need us anytime, 24 hours. We have to be there for them, the teachers. So, and it's not a switch on, switch off job for somebody like me. So I would tell new schools that make sure that you hire the best, make sure that you invest in training. That's very important. Make sure that when you see any culture erosion happen of what you have built, make sure that you put it back on track. So have enough meetings, interactions, sessions, call in the experts, listen to the voice of the experts, and have an open door where people can come and tell you. Right? Look, there's a problem. We see this as a problem. I think something that as a leader that I have built and I have believed in very strongly, Rishabh, is that we don't sit on judgment. When people come and say something, we have to be fair, and we have to treat every employee's feedback, as something that we value. Similarly, I do believe a lot in exit forms and exit meetings, not only with employees, but with students too.
Beautiful.
So, for example, every year when the students are graduating, there's a very honest, Bitly form that hits their inbox, asking about the school. And this is not done something which my school principal or my teachers would not know. It is done openly, in all honesty. That's culture. Because we do believe that when 18-year-olds leave the portals of the school, they are adults, they have a voice. They may not want to share anything whilst they are in school, right? But when they're leaving, we know they love the institution, and they will say, what they wish to say. So very few schools do that, but we do that because we do believe that to have a sustainable model, a sustainable culture for the organization, you need to be brave enough to listen.
Absolutely. I'm so with you right now. I think the key takeaway that I got from this part was that a culture, an organization with a good culture would have a voice for every stakeholder. Yeah. And that those voices would just not be there, but it would be heard and would be processed. And the feedback management system would really create a structure that the system is self-evolving. And the moment that happens, the systems grow, right? Yeah. Now, one core thought that always stays with me, and I keep thinking about that, is there was a time when teaching was the profession, right? People wanted to be teachers. I'm talking about 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, let's say. Not so much, but still, many people wanted to be teachers, early 2000s as well. Today, as we are entering 2020s, and we are at 23 now, mostly when I go to a school, a university, and I ask how many students would like to become a teacher, or how many of you see a profession, a career in teaching, the maximum response I get is from those people who want to get into volunteering so that they can fill in their Ivy League applications. And I'm being as brutal as possible. It's not a profession of choice for the brightest of the minds today around the world. And I know between you and me, we both want that to happen. So how do we build a culture when we receive teachers? And I'm not talking about your schools, I'm not talking about any particular schools, I'm talking in general, right? Globally. If we are receiving teachers who look at teaching as a second choice career or third choice of their careers, how do we tell them that here is this culture which is life-changing? How do we identify the best, and how do we really, nurture them that they stay and then they attract more talent there? So,
interesting question. So as we speak, just 10 minutes before this interaction started, I was interviewing someone who had been with the school as a student, and I have to say I have about 7 or 8 alumni who've come back to teach in the school. Cool. Now, why? And I just interviewed this young girl, and I've hired her. And again, she was one of our ex-students. There's 7 or 8. And how do you attract people back? Because these students experienced teachers in their journey in school who they felt loved what they did. Wow. They were given the freedom, they were given the space. They looked up to them, they were inspirational for them, and these students wanted to be in that space. It's unbelievable that now I have some teachers who teach the IB, teach TOK, teach mathematics, teach fine arts. They're all students who were taught by their teachers who are also still in school.
Beautiful.
They now share staff rooms rather than classrooms. Are you with me? So I think organizations need to build communities that are passionate, that are enthused. So for me, the second thing would be that I think we need. Why do people not choose the teaching line? It's not the best paid line. Yep. All right. So we need to look at how we pay our teachers. Now, directly proportionate would be fee, income, so, cash flow, all these things are, things that schools would ask. But my point is, make your HR policies so fabulous that the teachers feel safe and protected. All right? Mm-hmm. Everything can't be a trade-off with salaries, but give them spaces. Create a culture where people feel good about themselves. Create a culture, for example, have insurance policies for your teachers, which make them believe that, all right, I'm with this organization and hence I feel good. So our joint vice chairpersons after Mrs. Bharatram, passed on, Mrs. Vasavi Bharatram and Mrs. Radhika Bharatram, who are the promoters of the school. Mr. Arun Bharatram is the chairperson, and they're the joint vice chairpersons. And I must make a mention of this because that is something that it has stemmed from them, the culture, because you work for people, you work for organizations, but you work for people. Yeah. There's a saying that says, you don't leave the organization, you leave your boss, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So your experiences, people's experiences need to be so beautiful in this journey, because finally, what are we doing? We are raising citizens for tomorrow. Okay. So we have to give it 100%. So hire the best, retain the best. Your retention policies have to be so good that people don't want to leave us. And actually people don't leave us. I mean, I do believe that sitting in Delhi and NCR, that people tell me, I don't say it, that our final destination is the Shri Ram School.
I've heard it.
We want to be here because we hear such good things that happen here. So treat people kindly, treat people gently. Don't puncture their self-esteem. They will stay, and many more. You will be able to embrace many more people into this community when they see that teaching is fun. It also takes care of us.
Wow, I think today's conversation central theme has become culture now. We go through and here is a beautiful thought. And imagine if schools who wanted to say that we are successful and we have good culture, there was a parameter, very simple parameter, which says, how good is your culture that your teachers feel so empowered and they are so good that your students who are moving out of the school want to come back as teachers. And the number of students that you receive year on year coming back as teachers is basically a measure of success of your school, because then you can go back to the society and say, we have outstanding teachers and they inspire the next generation in such a way that the next generations want to become teachers, and that's our measure of culture and success. How beautiful would that be?
100%. You hit the nail on the head. It answered your own question to me to say, how do you bring back teachers and how do you raise the teacher community? So that's the best test. It should be data driven. Schools can actually do a dipstick test and see that, all right, how many children were we able to motivate to come back? It's amazing, because these were the kids I taught, and now like I said, they attend my staff meetings and they're sitting right there. And sometimes even this morning when I called this child Beta, and I immediately apologized and I said, I'm so sorry, you're here now in a different capacity. I'm so sorry, but for me, that image of you being in the classroom, it's still there. And now the alums children are coming back to us because they believe that they had the best experiences. So, it's a 360 degrees. And I do believe that, even for leadership, they can't be sitting in glass houses. They need to be out there. You need to shine in reflected glory. You can't be out there everywhere hogging the limelight, and your teachers who are actually the real people who are doing those jobs. So we made sure that at the Shri Ram School, there are equal opportunities for all, showcase everyone who's worked hard. It's not one person driven, it's the team that, drives it. And, teamwork is something that every management guru talks about. But when you see it in the real space, working in a school, and schools are very flat structures, there will be one director, one principal, one vice principal. How many people will there be? So people know that they are there. It's flat in many ways, but your highs you get from student achievement, student motivation, peer appreciation, parents, who form such an important part of the three-way triangle, who go out into the world and talk about the Shri Ram Schools. So these are your yardsticks to measure success and culture.
Amazing. And I'm taking back this another phrase that you just mentioned, from classroom to staff room. I'm going to be talking about this a lot now in so many places. How many people from your school did they go from classroom to staff room? And imagine if the parents of the students are also getting inspired, that they want to have a part in the growth of the school and the students, and they're standing by their own kids, and they're saying, yes, being a teacher at your school or at this school means you are successful. How beautiful is that? How beautiful is that? And that's the vision with which we are building Suraasa. How do we motivate more people to come and become teachers? And this is beautiful. I think we would want to come and do an entire case study on your school. How can we really inspire the next generation? Super. Now, with this, the next question that comes is, there are schools like yours who are doing this, but there are schools who want to do this, but they see that the teachers today face a lot of challenges. So I would love if you could share that what are the challenges that teachers even at your school would be facing? Whether it's with the students, it's with parents, it's with what's happening in outside regulatory world. What are the challenges that teachers today face, and what would you suggest teachers to do from early on that they can,
So it's a great question again, Rishabh. I think one of the first challenges that teachers, in our school, the challenges that our school teachers face specifically to my school is that, it's not a boarding school, right? The hours are limited, and the exposure and the experience that they need to provide to their students are growing each year. Be it university admissions or be it anywhere around the world, be it college admissions in the universities here or university admissions overseas. Sadly, it didn't happen in the 80s, but today you need to build that resume that the child should have done all of this and everything else. So teachers carry that huge responsibility of making sure that besides academics, they also need to be able to train children, provide opportunities, spend more time with them. And there are only those 7 hours in a day, right? And how much more time can teachers spend? They have to finish their course. Course completion is a big one. The calendar gets extremely hard and challenging to manage. Like I said, there's no time out for teachers, and that's a challenge. And they also have their homes, their families, so that's a very big challenge. Now, coming to challenges that teachers across the globe, anywhere would face, was the recent pandemic, where everyone had to reboot, rewire, and understand what tech was. Now, tech for us, we already had the digital footprint, since the last 10 years, where every teacher had a laptop, and we were, very well versed with, because we would also do pollution breaks in Delhi, because it does get, very polluted come, October, November. So our teachers were used to taking online classes to maximize the time, So that is something that we did it years back. So when COVID hit us, we were ready to, sort of change gears, and within a week, schooling continued online, because teachers were trained. I spoke about training. But for many schools across the country, that's not the case. So I think for the teachers to suddenly rise to this, and we don't know which way things are going to move in the next 3 years, 4 years, is technology going to take over completely? You would have read so much about, AI and ChatGPT and all of that, right? So what is going to happen? So for the teachers also, it's the fear of the unknown, See, knowledge pouring, acquiring knowledge, everything can happen at the click of a button. But schools are safe spaces where children need sustenance, friendships, the emotions, appreciation, connections, joining those dots with their peers, opportunities of leadership. All that will not happen,
Yes, absolutely.
through technology or doing online lessons, right? So schools are spaces where I see that students come to school now for so many other reasons, physical activities, sport, opportunities. So for many schools, that's really hard, just to be able to juggle all those works. And for the teacher, he or she needs to be constantly centered and to understand, why am I here? What's my job? What can I do better? So the challenges are there, definitely.
Got it. And I think you also kind of already touched upon the next question that I had in my mind, and you brought in the AI and the chat GPTs of the world. And the next question for me was around future of teaching. That what do you think? What would happen? And you mentioned it's a world of
yeah. Fear of the unknown. See, we don't know.
Yeah.
Today, even all of us, we are getting trained. We also reading up, like our students are, and students, they understand the speed of lightning technology. You give it to them, and we'll take time. People, my gen, but students know it backwards, right? So we don't know, but what we do know is that you have to pick the best in the space, and drop the rest, And I think lessons around plagiarism is something that we need to build in our school culture also, that look, you may get everything, but finally in the real world, there are times where you may not be able to, dependency on anything like this may not really help, You need to understand the art of writing, the art of speaking, the art of listening, and just the ability to be able to just the entrepreneurial skills or any other skill sets that you need to bring to your job in the future is something that, financial literacy and all of these things, students need to understand, right? So now the future is unknown, but what we know is that we need to embrace that comes our way, never stop learning. I'm talking for the teacher community, all right? Be willing to seek advice and guidance. When schools like ours offer training, be there, understand the need, So I think schools that are visionary, like ourselves at the Shri Ram School, we have a pulse on what's happening, and we just have to be adaptable to change.
Got it. Perfect. What you said makes so much sense. If I just put it in the way how I was perceiving it and how I was receiving it, was that the need of education has always evolved. The purpose of education remains the same, but the need of what needs to be done in education has changed continuously, right? And education, basic definition, change in behavior by creating experiences. As simple as that. That's the definition of education. Now, the change in behavior, which is the target behavior that we want for our learners today, whether a 5-year-old or a 15-year-old, would completely depend on where the world will reach with AI and GPTs of the world.
The jobs have changed. We don't know what jobs are in the offing in 2030. Absolutely. How do we know? What is going to be, what are students wanting to do? 7 years from now, 2030, we don't know. Gone are the days when they're going to be bankers and engineers, and more and more of our students are going to be entrepreneurs, and they're going to be risk takers, and they're going to take gap years, which were always looked on as gap year. But today I see students love the gap year because they then realize what they want to do.
Yeah.
So we don't know. So I think as educators, we need to step up and say, okay, we are watching, we are learning, and we're there to support our kids.
Superb. So as an educator, I should be focused on the first principles of what's the purpose of me being in the classroom. And I should not start believing that what I know is enough. I need to continuously go out and keep looking how the world is changing, because that's the world where my students are going to grow. So if you had to hire teachers like that, how would you evaluate? So you mentioned you conducted an interview right this morning before this call, before this discussion, interaction. What are those top 3, 4, 5 things that you look for when you are talking to a teacher today? Is there anything in particular?
So I think motivation, level of motivation, which I would also say the need for achievement factor should be very high. The willingness to embrace change. All right. The willingness to, I think stagnancy doesn't work for us, for me. Okay, people who come into this space and are eager to embrace new learnings, throw themselves into the deep blue sea and say, okay, I'm going to sink or swim, but I will swim, So people need to be risk takers. And the most important premise for me would be that they should love what they do. So they should love children. We believe in children. I think child centricity, inclusion, these are non-negotiables for us.
Yes.
Inclusion is a very big part of TSRS, the Shri Ram School, that we need to embrace all. I mean, gender diversity, even in our staff, in our recruitment, because through their schooling years, the children have been exposed to listening to people who embrace, when I speak of gender diversity, so we have teachers who think differently, who are and very well accepted by our students. So like I said, I would look for those people who are open-minded, The growth mindset is so important for me as the school director to see, do they come with that growth mindset?
Amazing. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
Anybody who's looking at reaching international schools like the Shri Ram Schools in India, in Gurgaon, New Delhi, I think one thing that the best of the schools are looking for is that a teacher has a growth mindset or not. And that's amazing. So this is the last part of the podcast, where I request the inspirational educators to make a sales pitch. Now, this is a sales pitch to the future generations, where we are selling the teaching profession to them. We're telling them what does it take to become a successful teacher and how it can be more beautiful than any other profession, or how it could be as fulfilling or more fulfilling than any other profession, and why they should consider teaching as their first choice. So I'll request you, if you could also, you are somebody who has achieved so much in education space, and coming from you, it would mean a lot. So how would you send that message across to the next generations?
So I would say that if you want to impact and you want to influence and you need to make a change, come explore this profession, because wherever you are in the world, whatever job you do, be it your boss, be it your doctor, be it the CEO of your company, was taught by some teacher, and he or she is there because of that one teacher. So be the teacher that you want to see and you want to be.
Beautiful.
Teachers are influencers. Teachers are motivators. Teachers have the power to raise students, to raise children, to raise communities. And together, the teacher tribe or the teacher profession, I think there's no better profession which gives you an opportunity to be remembered even after you hung your boots. You are 70, 75, 80, but if you walk by or if you make that one call to your ex-student, believe you me, your student will be standing by your side wherever you are in the world. So it's the most pious, noble, humbling job that only teachers get an opportunity to be in. So come, be that change, make that change, and raise good citizens for tomorrow's world.
And guys, if it's coming from somebody who has been doing that for 35 years, believe me, it makes sense.
I love what I do. I love what I do because I just think we were very blessed. And I love what I do because probably I'm also at a school, at an institution that allowed me to do what I wanted to do. So my urgent request and plea to all teachers and all leaders across the globe would be, allow your teachers to be. Let them experiment. It could be the newest kid on the block, straight out of college. But if he or she has a spark, to make a change, allow them to be. Teaching, it doesn't mean that if you're senior, if you've been in the same job for 20 years, you know it best. Learn from the youth. I learn from my under 30s. I really do.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And all our listeners, I think this is one episode that you want to save and come back to again and again. There's so many diamonds, so many pearls of wisdom that I have. I have so many ideas that I'm going to be working on, taking back, talking about culture, talking about how does a school measure their culture? How do you identify whether your teachers are happy or not? How do you identify whether your teachers are inspiring enough or not? So many from this conversation. With all that, I would like to bring this episode to an end. Thank you so much, Manika ma'am. It was a pleasure talking to you.
All the best to Suraasa and to you, Rishabh. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And all the listeners, I'll see you very, very soon again in the next episode. Till then, bye-bye.